welcome back to another day of our photography boot camp. I'm Ellie,
I'm Arabella.
and we're Weekend Creative. We're an art director and photographer team based in San Jose, California, and
Whoop,
we've been
whoop.
having a great time with you guys all week. And we're excited. Today, we're going to dive more into compositing, and Arabella is going to be working in Photoshop.
Yes.
So we're so happy to have you guys here. Please ask as many questions as you want. We want to be able to answer as many questions as possible, whatever pops into your mind during this stream,
Yes. Editing
photography related,
related.
editing related, business related, freelance, whatever it is that you want to touch on. We want to make sure that we are here for you guys. And yeah, it's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
So,
Say hi in the chat.
yes, say hi. Let us know where you guys are watching from. And yeah, Arabella, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, yeah. And if you've been with us this whole week, congratulations. You made it to
Congratulations.
day 4. Obviously, we have been working on, this awesome project, kind of from conception to now we're going to get into polishing it. And, yesterday we worked a little bit on Lightroom, but now we're going to head on over to Photoshop to do some
Hmm.
compositing, kind of, like put things together. It's sometimes like you don't always like capture things exactly how you want them, or you're the model, you're the hand model, and you're the
Yes.
person taking the photo, so you won't always get the exact shot. So I'm going to be showing you how we can like put together different images, and really just like composite, to kind of like its final state. So I have here, right here on Lightroom, just kind of like what I'm looking to do, like composite wise, but obviously we weren't able to get that in the shot. So I do have like all the separate images kind of together. So
Hmm.
these should be in the assets folder that you can kind of like follow along and like do
Yes, that's
a
linked in the
practice.
bio underneath the video. So if you want to
Exactly.
edit along with Arabella, feel free to download
Yes,
those.
yes. And this is just like, good practice so that you can kind of get used to
Hmm.
working different techniques and getting to this final state that we have right here. But anyway, so we are in Lightroom right now and I'm going to just take these over to Photoshop. So I'm going to grab all 3 of these because I'm actually going to need all 3 and you'll see why in a little bit. So I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to do edit in Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and open anyway.
Becca says,
And
hello, I started listening to your podcast yesterday. Thank
oh,
you for listening. We
thank
appreciate
you.
it. And hi, Robert, Viola, Ted. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much. It's awesome to have you guys in here.
Hmm.
And Adobe Live has such a like international audience that it's really awesome
Yeah.
to have you guys here. So thank you for tuning in. Okay, so I have all images in here. And I'm gonna need all 3 of them because so I'm going to just my base image and I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of these over to that image. And there's a couple different ways to composite. I mean, really, like as long as you get to like the final state
Hmm.
that you prefer, it really, there's just so many ways to do different things. So whatever works for you
Yeah.
is great.
Andrew asks, are the changes that we make in Photoshop updated or in Photoshop updated live in Lightroom? So like when you make these changes, will it be available in
Exactly.
Lightroom?
Yeah, and we actually went over that in yesterday's stream too, just how awesome it is to go from Lightroom, switch
Hmm.
over to Photoshop, make some of those edits, and then click save or hit
Yeah.
save in Adobe Photoshop, and it'll immediately make a new copy in Lightroom. So that's like great because then if you want
Awesome.
to continue adding any effects or any other color treatments,
Yeah.
you can do that as well. So let me just go ahead and exit this one. I don't need it anymore. I have all of them pasted onto this base image. So
Is there a reason that you
yeah,
chose that image to be the base image? Or what was your
yeah.
reasoning behind that?
Honestly, I think because so the reason that I'm thinking is because I have this, this is Ellie's hand right here with the pear. And I'm kind of wanting to maybe potentially play with the height of it. So I might actually
Okay.
move your hand either up or down. And I kind of
Sure.
feel like if I make this the base image, then I have all this space to work with.
Yes, and that one's
And
just that hand is good to go, you're not gonna be
this hand
moving
is
it.
good to go. I'm not gonna do
Okay.
anything to it. I think that's the spot that I want it in.
Okay.
And the reason that I also brought in this other image in here too, let me see. Did I even add it in here? Maybe I didn't. Well, then I will grab it again.
Okay.
So this image right here, or
Okay.
sorry, this one right here.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and grab it. I thought I had brought it over, but I guess not.
Too
So let
many
me open
images.
that. Too many images. And there we go. Okay, perfect. So then I guess I maybe copied, pasted this one twice. Okay, so
Mm.
there we go. And then the reason I'm also have this image too is because I'm actually thinking that I might move over the apples a little bit too.
Okay.
So if I have this image, then I have this space to work with,
Right.
and then I can move over. So you'll kind of
Okay.
see like what I'm looking at here.
The
But let's
magic
start
that's about to
the magic
happen.
that's about to happen. Let's go ahead and use this image here, right? So there's a
Okay.
couple of different ways you can, do, like, let's say this is exactly where the positioning of the hand that you want. You can always literally add a layer mask um, onto this layer. And then I always hit Command I for invert, right? Because I want to make the layer mask black. And I want to
Mhm.
grab a brush tool. I always like working with like a really soft round brush. Opacity is at 100%. I can always, change things up. But essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be painting in your hand. So that's the way that I'm going to composite, right?
Okay.
So I use my little bracket keys to kind of bring up that brush size. And I literally start painting in your hand. And that's
Crazy.
pretty much it. Oh, and one thing that I actually did want to mention before I even start painting that I think might be helpful to you guys. Sometimes, let's say, let me delete this layer mask just so that you guys can. Sometimes, like, things happen on set,
Yeah.
and sometimes, like, it might move.
Mhm.
Hopefully, everything stays the same. You want that to be the case because then it makes
Right.
your compositing easier. But let's say
Right.
it's like out of whack for some reason, maybe it's off by a little bit. So one thing that I always like to do is on the layer that I'm going to be, painting in or compositing in, I always like to bring down the opacity to 50% or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And that allows me to kind of see both the base layer and the layer that I'm going to be,
How
so that I
different
can.
they are.
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
wanna match it up exactly, right? I wanna make
Okay.
sure that it's, like, right kind of where it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
and I kind of, like, switch on and off just so I can get an idea of, like, how close I am to the image, but obviously this one was already kinda perfect, so, didn't have to worry too much there.
Yeah.
But that's just an easy way. You can just bring down the opacity, match it up, and then you're good to go. So back
Cool.
to my layer mask. I'll hit Command I for inverting the layer mask, and then grab that brush. Make sure I have the white selected, and then I have that soft brush, 100% opacity, and then
And
I start
painting
painting
it
in your
in.
hand.
Kara
And
says,
there
"You
you
guys are the
go.
best. Just submitted a story for the pod." Thank
Oh,
you.
so
We
sweet.
need more stories. We're running
Yes.
low. So if you have a fun freelance story, a mishap, or anything like that, you can send us a DM. I'll send you
Yes.
the link to send us a story.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Okay. So there we go. Like it's literally super super simple. And one thing that I want
Oh,
to yeah, go
Kara
ahead.
says, have you tried edit and then auto align layers?
Ooh, I have done it before, and I feel like it works well when, like, the images are and we're back, guys. So, like we were saying, the auto align, it works great, like, when you do have, like, a pretty straightforward image, but sometimes when
Hmm.
you have, like, something at an angle or something, sometimes it's a little wonky, so I kind of, like, always just do it by hand. I think it, like,
Yeah.
feels a little bit like, "Okay, I know that I'm getting it exactly where I want it."
Yeah.
But that is a good tip. So
Yeah.
definitely
Thank you
recommend
for,
trying it, and if it works out, amazing.
yes.
Um, but okay, so the one thing that I do want to keep in mind, and again, like this is all part of like, right, like just the physics or the nature of the image. There is a shadow here on the flower
Uh-huh.
because of your hand. So I want to make sure that I'm including that as part of the mask.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
paying attention to the lighting in the
paying
image is
attention to the
so
lighting.
important when you're compositing
Exactly,
to make it
exactly.
realistic.
Mhm. And, like, honestly, like, I don't think that there, and I can check, but if I do disable layer mask, okay, so there is a little bit of shadow there,
Yeah,
in the hand. So I might, I could include that as well, just, like, add the little bit of shadow. I don't need
yeah,
to, but that's just, an option. I kinda actually like it more clean. I
yeah,
think I just like, I wanna keep the shadow of the flowers because I think that's makes it feel realistic. So I'll do that. But like I mentioned, I kind of do want to play around with, the height of your hand, Ellie. So
okay.
here's another way that you can composite as well. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know about this, but this is like another way that you can do it. So is literally by selecting the actual thing that you want to composite, right? So in this case, it would be selecting your hand. So I always like to go in with the magic wand tool. And that's this little guy right here. It's great. I usually like to have the tolerance between 15 and 20 just so it can pick up really
Yeah,
easily. And honestly, it's just like it's more of like a guide, versus like actually, um, sometimes I won't get it perfect, but I get close enough. And so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to go around your hand here,
Robert
get
is
pretty
asking if you've
close.
used the mixer brush in compositing before.
I have not. Tell me about it. I'd love
Tell
to
us.
know.
I know, it's so great to learn all
I
the, like, different
know.
ways that you can do things. And then Sophia's asking, "Don't know if
Yeah.
you've already covered this, but how do you handle art direction? Do you always charge it
Mm.
apart from the price, or is it included? Can the client provide their own props?"
Ooh, great question.
If we're doing the art direction, we charge for that as, like, a line item. Sometimes the client does art direction, so it kind of depends on, like, if they have an art director or what that looks like.
Yeah.
But if we're doing it, yeah, we charge for it. And we don't usually let the client bring their own props. We've had some bad experiences.
We have.
Um, so like if the client does want to bring their own props, then we're not doing the styling. So I'll tell
Yeah.
them like, yeah, you're welcome to like if you want to do the
You
styling
wanna
and
select it?
you wanna bring the props, like, then we're just not gonna touch the styling. We're gonna, like, show up and shoot and then edit, and that's it.
Mhm.
So but if we're doing the styling, then either, like, we bring the props, or if we have a stylist, like, that stylist will bring the props.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless there's, like, something very specific with their product that they need to bring, but usually we like to have control over that.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
Great question, though.
we had a client show up with 2 apples and expect, like, a full photo shoot, and they were ugly apples, so we were like,
They're
"What can
so
we do?" And,
ugly.
like, once you cut into an apple, right, it turns brown, so you can only, like, cut it really,
Use it for
once.
so many shots,
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
after that, we were like, "No, we bring
We're
the props.
okay.
If we're styling, then we bring the props."
All right. So
So,
I am basically just now, kind of like grabbing everything that's inside. Honestly, I just use the magic wand tool just as like a guide, and then I go ahead and grab everything else using the polygonal lasso tool. It always makes
all
me
those
laugh
names that you
saying that
don't
word.
ever
I
say
know.
until you're suddenly having to teach something.
Exactly.
Like,
It's so good.
"Wait, what is this called?"
Like, what is this actually called? Okay. This is like pretty good. And you can also use too, and sometimes, and if you really want to get specific, I think it would be nice for you to use the pen tool. I
Yeah,
always love using the curvature tool because it does a really nice job like going in curves.
yes.
And one thing that I like to do is like if there are points where it needs to be straight, I just double click on that point and then it goes straight like that. And it's awesome. So, it works for just like making these little other like more intricate selections, but
Yeah,
obviously going a little bit in a speed here just so that we
yes.
can get to the
Get to the good
good
part.
part. Yes.
Robert says you can paint with images if you use Mixer Brush. It's so fun. It
Ooh,
sounds
okay.
very
That
fun.
sounds fun.
Yes.
I might have seen it in a tutorial actually now that I think about it, but
Gonna have to play
I need
around
to
with it.
play around with it. Yeah.
Sophia says, thanks. And how do you separate styling and art direction? Do you charge like an individual item? Yeah. So we
Mm,
itemize our estimates. Part of that is so that, sometimes we don't do the styling. Sometimes we bring in another stylist, especially like in food shoots or like really complicated shoots. And so in that case, I want to always like line item it so that if I do bring in a stylist, like they're getting that fee, right? And we're just
mhm.
charging a small fee for like the communication side of
Yes.
things. But yeah. And even if we don't bring another stylist in, I think like line iteming
Yeah.
itemizing is great because
Itemizing.
the client can see the value that you're bringing, and it helps you to ensure that you're charging appropriately and charging for all the different aspects of the shoot versus like just photography, which is kind of what we used to do when we first started.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah, great questions.
Yeah, seriously.
Keep
So
them
I'm just
coming.
doing little adjustments. So I did a select and mask by going to the select and right here. So that's what I'm in. And I'm literally just kind of like defining, like refining the edges so that everything is great. So I'm just gonna go in right there a little bit since that was missing. And always making sure to kind of play with these sliders over here with smooth and feather just to get it right. And I hit okay. And there I have my selection, right? And
Beautiful.
it's great. Love it. And now all I literally have to do is Command J for a new layer. Okay. And now I have the ability to literally move it up or down, right? So now, like, let's say I did want to have it. I think I think the reason that I wanted to change it is because I want it to be a little bit more connected to these items
Yeah,
down
it
here.
feels kind of
It feels a
disconnected.
little disconnected. So I kind of want to bring it down here. And now, because it's like so easy, now I go back to my regular layer mask and I'm going to switch over to black now. And I'm going to remove that
There you
that part right
go.
there. And that's like super easy right there. Take that all out. Don't need it anymore. And then I also want to kind of like make it look realistic that there's, the shadow is a little bit more further
It's
down than it
lower.
actually is. Yeah. So something like that. It kind of makes it a little bit like fun and, maybe I'll bring this down just a little bit more, something like that. Perfect. Okay. And then now the last thing that I do want to do is kind of move over the apples, and let's see how fast I can do this
Okay,
in the
you can
time
do
that I
it.
have.
You got it.
So basically that's why I needed this image specifically, is because I have it right here, right? And again, I'm going to go back into my I only really need this section, so I might just grab do a selection of a square, and I'm going to do Command J for a new layer, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete that old layer, right? So I have this little square, right, that I'm going to use as the background. And I'm going to use that little technique of just bringing down the opacity so that I can match it. And let's see, where am I? Okay, there we go. So something like that. And then hitting the little eye. That's like pretty spot on. So I'm
Yeah.
going to leave it right there. And I'm going to bring back the opacity. And I'm just going to leave that there for a second. Now I'm going to go in and select my apples. So
Okay.
let me see. I think that's over here. It's in this background layer. So again, using that selection or the magic wand tool, and I'm going to go ahead and select. And I always find it funny that like anytime I do this, I'm like clicking like a maniac. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's go. But it's really just a guide. So I like to get as close to the edge as possible. And of
Right.
course, you can select so many different ways. I mean,
Yes.
there are just a ton of ways, but this is one of the easiest ways that I like to kind of start out with, and then I can always refine my selection. Oops, too much. There we go. Cool. And that's just so I can grab my apples and move them over a little bit, because I do think that's another thing that we were kind of playing around with. We were moving the apples
Yeah.
kind of closer to the lemon, closer to the pear, and when I look at it now, it feels like it needs to go over a little bit to the right. So
Yeah.
I'm like, this is why it's important to kind of take a few different shots, even if you don't
Yes.
think you might need it. Like, That's
You
why,
never know, and you
yeah,
probably will be glad.
I know. And ideally fix it in
Yes,
pre,
fix
but
it in pre.
sometimes like you can make some magic happen.
Yes.
So
Yes. So also when you guys download these source files that you can work with, edit along,
mhm.
you could do your own composites, like whatever you think will look great for these images, you can post them in Discord so that we can see them. We'll drop a link for that in the chat so that you guys can upload your work, and we would love to see what you guys create with these images.
Yes, exactly. You can, I mean, if you really want to go all out, just do your own thing and see what you come
I would
up
love
with.
to see what you guys come up with. I think it'd
Uh,
be very
it'd be
fun.
super fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
And if you missed the first few days of this boot camp, you can also find the replays of those videos. So if you want to see us talk a little bit more about art direction, pitching,
Yes,
mockups, Lightroom, feel free to check those out as well.
exactly. All right. So now that I've got most of my selection, and again, like I want to be mindful of including the shadow that's part of
Right.
this apple, right? Because obviously I don't want to just move over the apples.
Yes.
So it's all about making it look realistic.
Yes.
Unless you're that talented that you can create your own shadows, all
Some
the power
people
to you.
do,
I know,
but
and
that
it's
is
so
so
impressive.
hard. Yeah.
It's so hard. But, yeah, let us know in the chat if you're good at shadow making. I will say that I'm not. So
Yeah.
the more I can keep it realistic, the better.
Yes.
All right, this is a very
Absolutely.
rough selection, but it's working. It's going. Let's see. Racing against the clock here.
You got it.
I got it.
Couple more minutes.
I know sometimes I think,
See if
and
you can do
I
it.
had totally planned. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have extra stuff in case I finish early. But that never
Yeah.
post production never is that as simple as you think it
Post-production always
is.
takes longer than you think. Beck says, "I like to use airbrush to put in shadows sometimes."
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yes.
Okay, there's our selection. So again, I'm gonna go use to select and mask, and I'm just gonna go ahead and move over the radius to kind of like have it know where the edges are,
Yeah.
kind of edge detect. I'm gonna smooth out the selection as well, and I'm gonna feather it. And then my favorite tool is this refine edge brush tool, and I always like to use it around the shadows, just so
Mhm.
that it's a little bit more like realistic here. And it does such a good job. I love it. So just go around.
Ooh, Ted says, Jesus Ramirez has a great 2-minute video on how to create quick, realistic shadows with very few
Ooh,
clicks.
oh, I love that. I
Jesus
love
is the
Jesus.
best. Yes,
Yes.
he's wonderful.
Amazing. Okay, well now I have, my selection, so I'm literally gonna, create a new layer with it, Command J. I never know the key words for like PC, but that's the
Yes.
ones for Mac. And so now I have it over here, right? So if I have this background, right, I'm gonna go ahead and add a layer mask. And again, doing an invert here, or actually I'm gonna maybe I'll do it that way first, and then paint in with black, and then paint in all the parts that I do want to keep.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna go in right there, keep that in here. This is always my favorite part. It feels like magical. I'm like, this is
Yes.
exciting.
It does feel like a magic trick.
Yeah, it really does. So I'm just keeping everything. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. Keeping everything that I do want to keep, right? And then as you can see, the edge of the box is still like,
Mhm.
there. So I want to remove that. And just keep what I want. So going around. There we go. So close. And obviously I don't mind that I'm kind of hiding the shadow because I'm going to end up moving the apples anyway.
Right.
Okay. That's pretty close right there. That's pretty good. And now all I have to do is move the apples over a little bit, right? Like something like maybe right there.
Yeah, like not directly under,
Not
but
directly under, but
just a
just a
little
little
bit.
over. And then because I noticed that there's a little bit here, I'm going to go back into that layer mask and also, oops, the other way right there. And there you go.
Beautiful.
So
Wow.
that is our
I can't believe you did
composited
that in like
image. Oh my
3
gosh.
minutes.
I know.
Yeah, can you show the before
Yes.
and after for us? We wanna
Yes,
see.
exactly. So let me just go ahead and group these layers, composite. And I mean, just started out with that, right? And then we added all the other rest of the stuff, and then there you go.
There you
So
go. It
super
looks
simple, super easy.
It looks great. Well, we can't wait to see what you guys create with these images, and, we're gonna be back again tomorrow for
Yes.
more editing, and
Yes.
so we hope to see you guys here again, and,
Join us tomorrow.
gonna be a last day, but a fun day,
Yes.
so we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.